They laughed when she failed, until God changed her story. Michelle stared at the exam result on her phone. Failed. One word that seemed to erase years of sacrifice. Her hands trembled as disappointment washed over her. Around her, whispers echoed.
She failed? Maybe nursing isn't for her.
What nobody knew was her struggle working long shifts, studying late into the night, sending money home, and pushing through exhaustion. Again and again, she prayed, "Lord, are you still with me?" That failure felt like the end of her dream. But what Michelle couldn't see was that God was preparing a breakthrough. The setback that broke her heart was about to change her life forever. Stay until the end. I promise you, her story will shock you. What happened next was something nobody expected. Michelle was raised in an impoverished neighborhood. The streets were dusty, electricity was unstable, and survival was something people learned early. Her father was a retired soldier who fought during the Civil War years earlier. The war left scars on his body, but even deeper scars in his life. He returned injured, weak, forgotten. The government promised benefits, promised compensation, promised support, but years passed, and nothing came. Sometimes, Michelle saw her father sitting quietly outside the house, staring into space, like a man still fighting battles nobody could see. Her mother became the backbone of the family. Every morning before sunrise, she arranged small food items into trays and bowls. Beans, rice, groundnuts, fruits, small snacks and bread. Then she carried them to the roadside near the government-reserved area. Because she couldn't afford a shop, rain or sun, she sold there, and many evenings Michelle joined her after school. While other children played, Michelle learned responsibility. She watched her mother smile at customers despite exhaustion, watched her hide pain behind strength, watched her pray silently when business was slow. One night, Michelle overheard her mother praying softly while everyone slept. "Lord, please let my daughter have a better life." That prayer stayed in Michelle's heart forever. Because sometimes children don't remember expensive gifts, but they never forget sacrificial love. Years passed. Michelle finished high school, but celebration quickly turned into worry. College was expensive. Abroad sounded impossible. Their family barely survived month to month. Then one evening, her mother pulled out an old metal container hidden beneath the bed. Michelle watched curiously as her mother opened it slowly. Inside were small bundles of money carefully wrapped in nylon. Coins, old bills, tiny savings gathered over many years. Michelle looked shocked. "Mom, what is this?" Her mother smiled emotionally. "I've been saving for your future." Michelle covered her mouth and stood speechless, because she understood what those savings truly meant. It meant sacrifice. Sacrifice. Michelle, it meant her mother skipped buying clothes for herself, skipped comfort, skipped rest, skipped enjoyment, just to create hope for her daughter. Then her father spoke quietly from the corner of the room. "We want you to travel abroad and study." Michelle froze. It felt impossible. Too big, too far, too risky. "But we don't know anyone there," Michelle whispered. Silence filled the room. Then her mother grabbed Michelle's hands and began praying. "Father, protect her. Send destiny helpers.
Open doors no man can shut. Let her story change our family forever."
And many evenings Michelle joined her after school. While other children played, Michelle learned responsibility. She watched James 5:16 says, "The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective." And Michelle was about to discover how true that scripture really was. A few days later, Michelle met her old school friend Ashley unexpectedly. They talked for a while. Then Michelle mentioned her dream. "My parents want me to study abroad, but honestly, we don't know anybody there." Ashley paused, thinking deeply. Then suddenly her eyes widened. "Wait, I know someone." She searched through her phone quickly. "His name is Brian. He's my elder sister's friend." Ashley handed Michelle the number. And that simple moment became destiny. That evening, Michelle told her parents, Together they called Brian. Michelle expected rejection, coldness, excuses, but Brian listened patiently, asked questions, encouraged them, and, surprisingly, he agreed to help. Days later, Michelle met Brian in person, and something shocked her. Brian already knew her family. Her mother used to sell food to him years earlier. The kindness Michelle's mother showed strangers had planted invisible seeds, and now those seeds were returning as favor. Galatians 6-7 says, "A man reaps what he sows." Brian began helping with documentation, applications, paperwork, guidance, encouragement. The process became stressful. Some days Michelle lost hope. Other days she cried secretly. The money wasn't enough. Every payment felt impossible. But somehow, things kept working out, and eventually, the visa was approved. Michelle screamed. Her mother fell to the floor crying. Her father lifted trembling hands toward heaven. Neighbors heard shouting from their small house that day, because hope had finally entered their home again. But the biggest miracle had not happened yet, because danger was already moving toward them, and God was already preparing protection. Michelle's flight was originally booked for Friday night. Everything was carefully planned. She would arrive Saturday morning. Brian had arranged for Sharon to pick her up because Sharon didn't work weekends. Everything made sense. Everything was organized. Then, suddenly, the travel agency made a mistake. The departure date changed from Friday night to Thursday morning. Brian was furious. He argued with the agency repeatedly, demanded correction, but nothing worked. Meanwhile, Michelle's phone was dead because electricity had gone out in her neighborhood. Late Wednesday evening, she finally charged her phone using a neighbor's generator. When she called Brian, his voice sounded tense. "Michelle, your flight leaves tomorrow morning." "What?" Fear rushed through her instantly. Everything suddenly became chaotic. Packing, goodbyes, documents, stress, tears. Her mother held her tightly before leaving and whispered, "God goes with you." The next night, something terrifying happened. Armed robbers attacked Michelle's family home. They stole valuables, destroyed property, threatened them. But then something strange happened. They specifically asked for Michelle. "Where is the girl?" Again and again, as if they expected her to still be there, as if somebody knew her original departure schedule. But Michelle was already gone, protected, covered, gone before danger arrived. When her mother later realized what happened, she cried uncontrollably, because suddenly the travel agency mistake no longer looked random, it looked divine. Psalm 91-11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Sometimes delays are protection. Sometimes confusion is divine direction. Sometimes God changes your plans because he sees what you cannot see. And somebody watching this right now needs to hear this. God may have saved you from things you never even knew were coming. Michelle arrived abroad exhausted but hopeful. Sharon was already waiting at the airport. And strangely, Sharon had unexpectedly been off work that entire week. Another miracle nobody planned. Michelle later got a small job at a pizza shop, and reality hit hard. Cold weather, long shifts, bills, loneliness, pressure. Sometimes she cried after work silently inside the bathroom. Sometimes she missed home so badly it physically hurt. But she kept moving, because failure was not an option anymore. Eventually, Michelle applied for nursing school, and she got admitted. But celebration quickly turned into stress. How will I afford this? Then one night, Michelle prayed desperately, "Lord, please, make a way." A few days later, her coworker suddenly quit. Her supervisor, Ronald, approached her. "Can you help find someone to cover extra shifts?" That evening, Michelle walked home thinking deeply. Then suddenly she stopped walking. What if this is God answering my prayer? The next morning, she told Ronald, "I'll do it." Double shifts, school during the day, work at night, assignments after midnight, barely sleeping, barely eating, still sending money home to support her parents and siblings. Michelle carried burdens silently, and many people around her never noticed. Every evening she watched Christian motivational videos and prayer messages on YouTube just to stay emotionally strong. Those videos became fuel for her faith, because sometimes encouragement keeps people alive spiritually. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength." Michelle held on to that promise tightly, even when her body felt weak, even when her heart felt tired. Then came final exams. Michelle studied hard, prayed hard, believed hard. But when the results came out, she failed, and that moment nearly destroyed her emotionally. Classmates laughed, people gossiped, even her friend Laura mocked her. Michelle smiled in public, but cried privately, because what people saw as failure was actually exhaustion. Nobody understood the pressure she carried daily. While others focused only on school, Michelle was surviving life itself, supporting family, working non-stop, carrying emotional burdens, helping people back home survive. And sometimes the strongest people are secretly the most tired. One evening after work, Michelle sat alone in her apartment crying, "Lord, I can't do this anymore." But then her Bible opened beside her, and her eyes landed on Psalm 34:18. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Michelle cried harder, because for the first time in weeks, she felt seen by God again. Ronald also noticed her emotional pain. He encouraged her constantly, gave her overtime when she needed extra money, sometimes stayed after his shift ended just to make sure she was okay. And slowly, Michelle realized something important. God often sends strength through people. Michelle decided not to quit. She took the exams again, studied harder, prayed deeper, believed stronger, and this time, she passed. Michelle fell to her knees, thanking God, not because life suddenly became easy, but because she remembered every painful moment that almost broke her. Months later, she graduated officially. Her family celebrated wildly back home. Brian even organized a celebration party for her parents. And Michelle sat quietly one evening after work, whispering, "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for not giving up on me." Then came another blessing. Michelle got hired as a nurse at Caldwell Hospital in West Montville. The same girl people mocked was now saving lives. The same girl who almost quit was now living proof that perseverance matters. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him." At the hospital, Sharon's older brother, Andy, worked as a physician. Successful, kind, intelligent, and slowly, Andy began asking Michelle out. But Michelle's heart became conflicted, because Brian had been there for years, supporting her emotionally, quietly loving her without pressure. And Ronald had also become someone deeply important during her darkest season. Michelle suddenly found herself standing at an emotional crossroads. Three men, three seasons, three different kinds of love. But this story was bigger than romance. It was about purpose, healing, faith, survival, and the goodness of God. Because years earlier, Michelle was just a poor girl helping her mother sell food beside the roadside. Now she was living proof that God can rewrite impossible stories. Maybe today you feel forgotten. Maybe life has exhausted you. Maybe you're carrying silent burdens nobody understands. Maybe people mocked your failure. Maybe you feel delayed compared to others. But listen carefully. Your current season is not your final chapter. God still sees you. He sees the tears you hide, the prayers nobody hears, the battles nobody understands. And just like Michelle, you will survive this season too. Sometimes God allows pressure because diamonds are formed under pressure. Sometimes your delay is preparation. Sometimes your pain is building strength for your future assignment. And sometimes the story that almost destroyed you becomes the testimony that inspires millions. If this story touched your heart, comment below.
God is still writing my story.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more powerful faith-filled stories. Like this video and share with someone, because tonight, Someone needs this reminder. God never abandons his children. Michelle thought the hardest part of her journey was over, but she had no idea the biggest emotional battle was still ahead. Between Brian, Ronald, and Andy, her heart was about to face a decision that could change everything forever. What happened next tested her faith like never before. Watch out for part 2, because the next chapter is deeper, more emotional, and completely unexpected.